Whoops. Okay, since I just started recording and I guess I never said, I'll just say today's October 10th, no, October 20th, 2021. My name is Sasha Rose. I'm the founder of Venus Wisdom, and I am sharing a pop-up training on how to work with Venus at the full moon. And really, how do we anchor in this Venus avatar? Because some of you went on this 5-day journey, and over those 5 days, we got these different pieces, these different layers that reflect back to us our feminine essence. It's like turning the mirror around and looking at our own face. Ah, there she is. Because when we move from that place within our being, we have so much power. Everything in life is singing to us right now, is encouraging us right now to move from that place of our deep feminine. And so to have that mirror is pretty extraordinary. On one level, we don't need it. We all have a beautiful portal to the infinite. We all have access to our sacred feminine, regardless if we have a map or not. But I say, why not use the map? It's so fabulous and it's so ancient, and we don't really know how the ancients used it. And yet we can use it, we can flow with it, and we can discover what it means for now. And so what we're talking about here is the difference between syncing with Venus and orienting to the moon. So I opened with asking, who has really made it a practice to orient to the moon, especially the new, planting the seed, and then the fruition, and feeling those energies of it's the beginning of the month, it's the dark moon, and then it's the fullness. And we know that at the full moon, things can go kind of cray. It's like this wild energy can fill up the hospitals and create more kind of aggression or emotional reaction. And this is documented. We know that this happens at the full moons. So do you feel that? Like, who here who's watching feels that amp at the full moon, or can feel overwhelmed, or just the collective energies are really strong? Or you notice that you're just like, if you have a teenager, which I do, I have a teenage daughter, I really notice for her at the full moon, she's in the height of her teenage angst. And so I try to remind her, like, hey, remember, this tends to be an intense time for you. And remember, it wanes after we reach this peak. So we're in a particularly powerful full moon today. It happened earlier today, and I'll talk a bit more about that. But there's a lot of this Aries energy. So we have an extra dose of that potential for reaction and frustration and acting out and, impulsivity and, potentially violence, of course, and the extreme, if someone really is not conscious, that can come up. So, okay. Yeah, you feel it. Your 16-year-old feels it. Yes. Depends on where the full moon is. Okay, great, Angelica, good to know. You feel the moons intensely, not just full and noon. Okay. And it'd be interesting to see for those of you that feel it sometimes or feel it all the time, do you have what's happening with the moon in your personal chart? So we're always looking at our personal chart being our intimate, the intimate design of who we are, and then the external energies of the transits. When I ask myself what's going on now, it's usually a full moon. Okay, great, Jim, thank you. Yeah, great. Yeah, so it's, it affects all of us, and we might act that out in different ways, but the full moon is this peak intense energy. And the thing that's interesting, of course, is that a new moon is the sun and the moon coming together in what's called a conjunction, right? They're in the same sign. So we had a new moon in the sign of Libra on October 9th, right? And that happened to be right as Pluto was stationing. So the planet of transformation, the planet that dredges up all of the unconscious material so it can be purified, exposes it relentlessly. Pluto was stationing direct. So this particular new moon may have felt very intense, who experienced that with that new moon? Even though Libra is all about peace and harmony and balance, it might have really shown you what was out of balance. You know, Pluto in Capricorn is this big reveal about what the dominator culture is about and how much we are pressurized by fear and control from every direction. Like, that's how the dominator culture exists. If people weren't afraid and people weren't in fear and in scarcity, the dominator culture would absolutely fall apart. And that's why a lot of us are really realigning with a different place within us, where we're working with that in a different way. And we're really finding our empowerment. Okay. Wow, Gigi. So she's got physical manifestations with wind and the doors busting open. Yeah. Okay. So whether or not you felt an intensity on that new moon, you know, it's, and I'm looking in the Facebook now. Yeah. So it depends where it is in your chart and all these things, but it's this chance, and it's this chance to start a new lunar month. And a lot of calendars now are really incorporating that in. And there's often this idea of planting an, you know, plant a seed, make an intention, right? We're going to create something. And that's the invitation with the moon cycle, is we're going to seed something at the new moon, and we're going to see it grow by the full moon. And so that principle is really coming from this place of creating from a certain place in our being. So what I want to invite you into is this choice, because I feel like at that moment of the very beginning of any cycle, we have a choice. And so at the beginning of the new moon, it's, you know, the moon and the sun together. Who knows what Venus is doing? There's no connection to Venus in a new moon, right? It's just the sun and the moon. Considered, the sun is the conscious. I consider it our connection to source. It's our spark. It's our infinite ability to connect with the love that infuses everything. I don't see the sun as identity. I know some astrologers do, but the way that I learned, the sun is really the fuel and the energy that lights us up. And that has a different flavor for each of us. It's how we connect to source. And then the moon being the unconscious, and the moon really being about our family and our history, and the moon keeping us safe. Not necessarily accurately keeping us safe, but keeping us safe by keeping us in the familiar. What happened in our lineage? What are we carrying forth from our ancestors? What got imprinted in our being before we even had conscious thought? What are those early imprints? All of that is moon, moon, moon. And so when we work with the moon, we're really elevating that part of our being, because everything in the sky connects to something within us that is representative of who we are. So moon, the lunar feminine, really connects us to, how do I stay safe? So if you look at the moon in your chart, not the moon, the new moon or full moon in the sky, but in your chart, you can see, oh, this is my strategy for staying safe. Okay, so let's see some of your moons. Where's moon in your charts? I have moon in Capricorn. So the way that I keep safe, stay safe, is control. Right? Do I want to be a controlling person? Not really. But when I'm in that moon mode, and of course, where does that come out a lot is with my daughter, you know, the lineage, the pattern, the family pattern. I really notice this control. Capricorn loves to control, right? And get some shit done while you're at it. Okay. So moon in Leo, Virgo, Libra, Sag, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, Aries, Pisces. Okay. So given what you know about your moon, or given what you know about those signs, what would be your way of being safe, whether you like it or not? This is not your ideal in any way. This is such a deeper part of you that has to do with your being, using what it's got to do what it needs to do. And if you want to get really deep into the most pervasive shadow, and shadow is an interesting word, but like your patterns that you don't necessarily want to have, but they're very pervasive, we can look at the south node in your chart, but that's a whole other training. But so the first layer is the moon, and it's pretty obvious, right? Being love, says Gigi, do you have moon in Cancer? Okay, so yeah, Sag moon, and again, this is just concept. You have to check it with your own experience. Sag moon would be like, oh, I get to like, I'm gonna get safety by going on an adventure, right? I'm gonna go out in nature, or I'm gonna expand in some way. And that could be beneficial. Any of these can be positive or negative, right? Like I said, with Capricorn, I could get a lot done. I could be really productive, as well as controlling. So, none of this is bad or good. I really want to get out of bad or good. Okay. How do you feel safe? Moon and Virgo control. Like, let's clean the house and organize the F out of all of it. Being in full expression. Okay, awesome. What is your moon, Gigi? So if you put the how you find the safety, it'd be great for me to see the moon too. Great. Okay. So Aries, warrior, fight. So it could be that, so the Aries energy, which we're in right now with this Aries full moon, right, is this uprising, raw, primal vitality, not good or bad, but when it's, when it's going sideways, it can be aggression. It can, it's not a super conscious energy because it's the first sign. It's the first rising of consciousness. It's number one. It's like, I'm number one, I'm here. It's got that very yang energy. So it could be being selfish. It could be being impulsive. I know some people that have these beautiful, compassionate signatures, and they have an Aries moon. And when they're under stress, they tend to take care of number one. But if you catch them on another day, they can't stop thinking about the world and everyone else. And, so it's really like the moon is the place where we behave that we don't necessarily want anyone to see it necessarily, right? Our rising sign, or some of these more visible parts of us, that's the rising sign, is like how you walk into a room when you know that room is full of people. It's like your face, right? The moon is like, nope, this is over here. And of course, there's exceptions to this if your moon's right there in the first house, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just talking generally. Okay. Not Cancer. Oh, mutual reception of moon in Leo. Okay, so that was a full expression. That's what I was looking for. And then the love. Perfect. Thank you, Gigi. That helped me. Yeah, that actually makes more sense. Being fully loved for Leo than the Cancer, but I was curious. And you have the sun in Cancer, so I'm sure they're working together. Okay, so Angelica, you can kind of think about your life and think about your experience beyond the concept. Yes, that would be a good example of a Scorpio moon is hiding, being hidden, being secretive, but what is your experience of that? Does that resonate for how you lived your life? Okay, moon in Aquarius in Scorpio's house. I love to dig for new and innovative ideas and thoughts. Okay, great. So when you say Scorpio's house, you mean 8th house, right? So you have this ability to, the negative side of that, and I'm not saying this is you, I'm just, playing here with ideas, might be to detach, and to kind of check out emotionally when you're looking for safety. So we can kind of just, for the moon, there's going to be, of course, the positive, but there's also a clue to the part of ourself that is not truly who we are. It's the part of ourself that got solidified in identity. And so, okay, so Libra moon, you can, again, then if you got my workbook that I sent out to everyone who signed up for the 5-day, and I'm just going to send it out to everyone on my list, because it's not, it's not in depth, but it has some really good keywords. So if you're like, what does Libra moon mean? You could go to moon, read moon, go to Libra, read Libra, and then let it roll around in your being. I feel like there's so much we can get intuitively that we don't have to read, a 10-page book on Libra. And that might be fun, but there's a lot we can get from just contemplating it and then thinking of our life. So what I would say, and you can think about if this lands for you, Libra person. I can't remember who it is. Sorry, I lost the threads going fast. So it might be indecision. Libra likes to keep every door open. So indecision might be a moon in Libra strategy to stay safe. Is like, I don't want to choose. I don't have to choose. What do you want? Where do you want to go to dinner? I don't know. Where do you want to go to dinner? Whatever you want, honey. That's like a potentially Libra manifestation. Okay, I totally forgot about the Facebook people. Let me check in. Okay, yeah, we got another moon in Aquarius. So moon in Aquarius, you can kind of weigh in how that detachment, detachment, or going really vast when the person right in front of you might need intimate human connection. The Aquarian can just be like, well, I have to think of all of humanity. I can't really deal with you right now. I'm just kind of playing with it. I'm not saying that that's how it is, of course. Good one, Carolyn. Wanting to make everyone happy for the Libra moon. Okay, so you're kind of getting the picture, right? Is that there's this moon energy that we have, and just going with this, suggestion I'm making for a minute, just trying it on. You might have a totally different philosophy, but here's the thing. We're at this time when the philosophies and the maps like astrology, religion, spirituality, they are just getting purified. They are just dropping away like flies. It's like, oh, another one's gone. Another one's gone. There's something else that wants to be revealed, right? So we're playing with this map. And I feel like the syncing with Venus is a merging map that can point us in a direction that I think is very helpful as we go into the age of Aquarius. So for now, Angelica, I would not worry about tropical and sidereal. I wouldn't, because that's going to put you too much in your head. I just go with one, whichever one, and find an example for this exercise. Because I think that can be like a whole other kind of a distraction. I want you to land on something, and then you could play with it later on another time, looking at the other option. But the thing is we have so much information right now, and we have so many possibilities right now. And it's just like, oftentimes we just stay up here. Data and information are never going to get us where we're going. We are creating a new reality, and it's not going to happen from our heads. It has to happen from a deeper place in our being. So I'm not directing this to you specifically. I totally get it about trying to, figure it out. You don't have to figure this out. Pick one. Here it is. Choose. And then it actually doesn't matter. Just choose. Just choose one and go into it. Go deep. It's like we are so overstimulated in possibilities. Sometimes we're like, so it's like, especially we're talking about the full moon in Aries. What is the opposite of Aries? What is this moon always going to be connected to? We're always working in polarity in this particular reality. Libra. Yeah. Libra. Libra's biggest shadow, like I said, is not choosing. Aries is like, I'm going to choose. No problem. Boom. I'm going to start something new. If you want to start something new, and Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, Libra is the 7th. So there's a lot that's happened between 1 and 7. We haven't even dawned that there's objectivity, that there's something besides us until we get to that 7th sign of Libra. So Aries is like, choose. Yeah. Ooh, that was fun. Okay. I'm going to do something else. Choose. Ooh, this is super fun. Yeah. I want to start something new. Choose. Right. So that's the Aries energy. No problem choosing. It might change its mind later, but it fully chooses to get something started. Okay. So Libra, having been through that process of all of this different flow of consciousness, now is like, oh my goodness, there's another. It's like, whoa, this is a whole new reality. There's other beings, they have other needs. How do I hold on to myself? And how do I relate? How can I attune to myself? Wait, they want to go to dinner at Thai, and I want, vegan, something else raw. What are we going to do? So it's this process of holding self and other. And there's a beauty in that. But if we don't choose, if we lose too much of the self, and we're just going into other, we can't really function. Relatedness is about interdependence, honoring self, and being in an intimacy, being in a receptivity to another. Okay, so Libra, we're going to just choose. And we're just finishing up, this Libra time, the sun shifting soon. We've had a Mercury retrograde in Libra. So these themes of how do I take care of myself in relationship to other? Is there an equal energy exchange? This feels off. No, there's not. That has been really dredged up, especially with the Pluto going direct right at the beginning of the new moon. Pluto shows us the truth. I just had something pop in last night that just was like a ton of bricks as far as something that I needed to understand about a relationship that I was in, a partnership that I was in. And it was like, boom, it just landed. So welcome those right now, because Mercury now going direct is going to bring us into those places where we've been out of balance, and to help bring it into our minds so that we can do something about it. Okay. So when we work with the moon, we're always working with that polarity, because at the new moon, the moon is with the sun, and at the full moon, the moon is opposite the sun. Okay. So there's a lot of learning that happens through polarity, but there's also there's a way that the polarization feels like that's a part of that full moon energy, right? There's like an amp around it, because with the moon energy, we could say that it's not just the feeling, it's the emotion. It's the feeling with a story. So what is that story? That story is everything that happened before that reminds us of that. And so when we have these strong feelings attached to the stories, that's when things can really get reactive. And reaction, we're really separating when we react. And when we're moving energy from that place of, oh, the story of what happened, like I'm angry or I'm upset, but it's not really burning in me. I'm not really staying with it. I'm just off-gassing it. I'm dispersing it. We're actually not claiming the vitality that is in those more negative emotions. Like there's the alternative is to have union with it and really be with it. And oftentimes we just don't want to, or we just do not know how to do that. We do not know how to sit in the depths of our feelings, of our human experience, without doing something with it, right? And so the full moon energy, there's going to be a lot of hooks and triggers to do something with it. I felt a lot of frustration today. Things are still wobbly, Mercury going direct, things are not working. And I could feel that kind of energy. And it's full of tension, full of history. Oh, this always happens, right? So notice how much tension you feel at the full moon. And right now, let's just take a moment. Notice how much tension is happening in your body right now. And soften. Just relax as much as you're able to right now. And one huge way to, relax deeply is allowing your jaw to get soft. I love that mantra. Just let it all go. And just notice the difference, whatever the difference is in those two, whatever's happening in your body. Okay. So when we sync with Venus, we're moving out of this paradigm of the moon being first. You notice how we say new moon and full moon, but we don't say moon conjunct sun and moon opposed sun. It's almost like the sun disappears even in the way that we hold this and the way that we talk about this. Language is powerful. It's all about the moon. So the moon is really first. So this storied, potentially reactive identity place has been woven into a lot of how we move with the moon. And that might not be true for you, but I'm going with my experience, because I used to be very overwhelmed by, lots of things. Sensitive person, super hypersensitive, and definitely the moon energy kicked my butt often. So When we sync with Venus, we are doing something a little different. We're still working with a monthly cycle, but we're working with a monthly cycle that is connected to Venus's dance with the sun. So we're really in this remembrance of the sun as source. So when I say syncing with Venus and embodying our deepest truth, our deepest truth is that we are love. We are love. We have an essence that doesn't have any of those layers of identity, which in this dominator culture has a lot of funkiness to our identity, no matter how cool we are, no matter how much personal work we've done, right? So this might be what the Buddhists call the ego, or, if you follow Oracle Girl, she calls it the slave self. And again, there's no judgment there. Like nobody gets an option to be not having it. We all have that part of us that's hooked into these paradigms of control, fear and control, and dominance and control, victim and aggressor. They're all part of that same polarity. So when we sync with Venus, and her relationship with the sun is this visual dance of the solar feminine. Sun and moon meet on the new moon. And then, they have their opposition at the full moon. And then, it starts all over. So it's like a much shorter dance of sun and moon have union and conjunct. Then there's the first quarter moon about halfway, the full moon opposite, the waning quarter moon on the other side, and then back to the front. So if you've seen the chart on that, it's like we're working in that mini flow. With the Venus cycle, we're working with the 19-month cycle of Venus's meetup with the sun. I'm gonna just grab, if I can find it, just grab this visual. I didn't do any slides or anything for today. I was like, I'm just gonna go in and share from this passion that I have for giving this tool that has been so supportive for me and so many others in the last 8 years since I've been syncing with Venus, and really discovering it as I went, what that means. So if you've seen the chart for that, you know that we have this 4 segments. We went over that in the 5-day heroine, where there's Venus meets sun as inception. And that's during this time when she's invisible for just a little bit, because she's, making love to the sun, this union of light and love, or, that energy, vital energy of source and creation with our bodies, Venus, they're coming together. And then she comes births into the morning star. And then she rides through the morning star, and that whole half of her cycle, her 19-month cycle, is about the same as a human gestation cycle. So 9.5 months, morning star, and then she disappears in the underworld behind the sun. A secret meeting with the sun. And she hangs out there. And there's this deep, deep, deep initiation. And then she comes out the other side as evening star. And there's about 9.5 months as evening star. And she gets higher and brighter. And she really gets confidence. She gets totally in the underworld, totally stripped of that identity, that opportunity every 19 months we have to let go of how we've been locked in to history that takes us out of this present moment, and us actually embodying who we truly are, that is more infinite than all the stories will ever, ever, ever be. We get to embody that vastness as we come into evening star. So for this cycle, it was about early February at about the Imbolc, all the way through early May, later for some, that she was totally invisible. So that's the death part of the cycle. That's the transformation. And then she reemerges as evening star, and she's moving higher and brighter, through this 9.5 months on the other side. So in that 19 months, both in the morning star and the evening star, she meets the moon every month. And she has both the meetup with the moon at what I call the new Venus portal. And then she has the opposition to the moon, which is what I call the peak Venus portal. And these are alternate ways to work with the monthly feminine cycle. So I'm going to show you a visual here because I think it might help. Okay. How you doing out there? Secret meeting. Okay. Morningstar is asking which moon. I'm not sure if you can ask that in a different way. I would love to answer any questions that come up. I'll do my best. I'm not sure what you were referring to with which moon. So here's the map of that 19 months. Now, so I know there's a lot on this map. So if you just want to follow what I'm directing you to, if you tend to get overwhelmed by a lot of data, again, we don't need to go into all the data, but these meetings here are Venus moon. That is that in the morning star, that happens a couple days before the new moon. Every month, she's meeting with the moon. So the new Venus portals include the moon. They include the moon, but it's that emerging Venus solar feminine energy that is the feeling without the story. Like Inanna, when she goes down to the underworld, she has to take off her crown. She has to take off her jewels. She has to take off her story, her identity, and she has to get naked. Okay, so this is a symbol of us having the courage to actually show up vulnerably more in our essence. So that's what these new Venus portals are that we're dropping into every month. And you have a choice to orient to the moon or to sync with Venus. And I feel like I want to encourage anyone who's drawn to this to experiment with syncing with Venus. So these are our morning star, and she's in a different sign for each one. So that's going to give us a ton of meaning as far as what that means. She disappears and then she comes out in the evening star. And in the evening star, the new Venus portals are a couple days after the new moon. So we're up here, we had the October 9th new Venus portal in Sagittarius, and we're going into the peak Venus portal. That is, I'll get the date in a second. I'm totally not remembering off the cuff, but just like in the new moon, this energy is going to carry through the whole month. So we're in a new Venus portal in Sagittarius at this full moon. And she's going to peak in Sagittarius. So we don't have that same polarity happening, right? So this super intensified Aries full moon, we also have the Sagittarius energy that's running through it. And so this is, the alternate points to the new moons. I don't have the peak Venus portals on here, which would be akin to the full moon. So in our peak Venus portal, that's actually on October 24th. I'm just looking here. We're going to have that opposition of Venus and the moon. So when Venus right now is evening star, when she is setting in the west, the full moon will be rising in the east because they're in an opposition. So the Venus, thinking with Venus, it includes the moon, but it doesn't necessarily put the moon first. It doesn't put identity first. It puts essence first, if that makes sense. So at that new Venus portal, we have Venus and moon together, side by side, and we get to choose. We get to choose. Are we going to go with our identity? Are we going to continue to live from identity? Or are we going to begin to open to move from essence? If we're choosing to sync with Venus and we're choosing to discover what the solar feminine means, the first step is to choose not to know. That's the heroine's journey, regardless of what sex or gender you are. Choosing not to know. We don't get to know because it's brand new. And so it's through the relaxation of our bodies, choosing not to know, that we get to actually not plant a seed, not say, okay, what do I need in my life? No, 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 no. I've done this a million times. I'm not saying this at all to make fun of everyone, right? Beginner's mind, beginner's heart. You got it. We're beginning again. I'm not going to use my mind to set an intention. I'm going to use my mind to choose to drop into my heart and receive what is happening now. I'm going to dive the new Venus portal. I'm going to choose essence if I want to or not, but I choose essence, right? So it's right there, Moon and Venus. You can see them together. Did you see them together? They were so gorgeous. And of course, they're always going to be in the same sign. Connected always to the sun, because Venus is in this synodic cycle with the sun that has this, her cycle with the sun is very profound. So choosing to drop into our hearts, I would say, is the first step in syncing with Venus. And I would say, go out and watch, bare feet, feet on the earth, breathing, soft jaw, relaxed, receive. So this is the cosmic support to receive your inner wisdom, because we're coming into a time increasingly where what's coming in, not only tons of data and information and misinformation and manipulation, we're going to really need to rely and trust ourselves. Because if you made your way into this class, I'm going to just assume that you're a leader in recreating the world, in redreaming the world. You have a part to play. Your sacred purpose has much medicine for what's to come, which is nothing less than a whole new reality that's been talked about for a long time. Sure, it doesn't seem like it's happening, and yet it is. It is. It really, really is. And so this is a time to really choose what kind of cosmic energy we want to reflect to us. So new Venus portal, yes, I would go out and I would watch Venus and the moon together and watch Venus set, and they'll set together. And it's a 3-day period. So it's not like, oh, you can only get it on that, on that one day. You have a little bit of wiggle room, so if you went out on the 9th and saw them, beautiful. If not, no problem. And then, for the peak Venus portal, alternate to the full moon, is going to be on October 24th. It will be exact at 2:42 p.m., which, here in the West Coast of California. But, the day before and the day after still going to be in that oppositional relationship. So Venus is going to be setting after the sun fades out, and the moon is going to be rising. So yeah, go experience it. And so instead of, setting intentions and kind of using our mind to try to create reality, it's my experience that that's not really working for many people, and that's not going to really work for what's coming. It's coming from this much deeper place in our being that has to do with our authentic feeling body, that has to do with being embodied. So the clue to the age of Aquarius, the clue to the cutting edge of this time, is this Aquarian energy. We're going to see this, Aquarius's humanitarian visions of, the utopia, or, new innovations, new ways of living. We're going to be creating that for a long time to come. And so the modern ruler of Aquarius is Uranus. Uranus is the revolutionary. Uranus is shaking things up. And Uranus is in Venus's sign. Uranus is in Taurus. So that's like, the message is that the revolution is in your body. So if we're in our body and we're in this dance with sky story, things begin to really open up in our life. So right now, just become aware of your body right here, right now. Just tune in. Do you have this body? Are you in it? Are you in, out here? Are you in kind of the spiritual dimension or the energy world, or are you in? So the revolution is human. The revolution is natural. The revolution is this radical access to our essence that's never been seen before on this planet. Perhaps always available. Seems like a few people, a few masters, had the revelations and lived in this totally different way and created miracles because they were really living from their infinity capacity. And it's the time for all of us to awaken to our capacity. But a lot of the old maps they don't fit anymore. It's like the puzzle pieces don't fit together. Yeah, that's great, Gigi. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to check in with the yeah, you got an offer on your house. Oh, congratulations. Oh yeah. Things are starting to move with all those forward planets. So I wanted to, this is how you anchor the map of your Venus avatar. If you worked with those layers of your Venus sign, your Venus star point, your Venus phase, you started to understand, even get an image of, oh, that's what she would look like. Oh, that's her. It's like, it's so fun and beautiful to have the map. And then we just drop into simplicity and we get to let go of the map. And if you've been trained in any of that, I studied Vajrayana Buddhism for a long time. I don't, I have a lot of respect for those teachings. And a lot of my maps have fallen away, shockingly, in the last few years, but especially this last year. The South Node is in Sagittarius, asking us to release the old teachings. Are the more precious, like probably challenging to let it go, but really what's real now, it's very different. So in that tradition, there's a lot of complexity. Visualize this and visualize that, and you're saying this, and visualize this seed syllable spinning, and then this is happening, and this deity is doing that, right? There's like all this, like, it's very psychedelic if you've ever done those meditations. And then what happens? You let it all go. And when you get to the higher levels of that teaching, it's totally simple. It's totally natural. It's just this beingness, but we're so caught up in mind. It's kind of like we have to trick ourselves to get to that, right? That simplicity, that Uranus and Taurus place of that we have the instructions of our sacred purpose on this planet. All we need to do is listen. And if you want some help with that, then sync with Venus, because you may have the experience that I have had and other women that I've been guiding have had, of having profound realizations come through, especially when you go out and look at her, allow her light in your eyes. There's an intimacy, there's a connection. And many, many ancient peoples did this. So I also wanted to say, before we close here, we have a few more minutes. I was planning to just do this hour. I might go over a little bit, but I wanted to also just let everyone and anyone know who is interested that doors have opened for the program that I am guiding called Heroine. And it's a journey of heart. It's initiation into the Venus mysteries. And we're going to be writing together for 17 months of the 19-month cycle. So it is a long container. It's a deep container. And it's for 21 women. I say women, visionary women of heart, who are really ready to let go of the old constructs and the old beliefs, and the beliefs about goddesses, and the beliefs about spirituality, and the beliefs around whatever it is. Like, you're ready to show up in radical openness. Not that any of that is wrong, but that we're ready to show up in radical openness in the experience of what's arising now, and not to hold on to anything that doesn't support us in being in the now. So really creating a culture together that is about the new reality, that is about the new earth, that is about deeply empathizing with our heroine's journey and having support to manifest from our sacred purpose, to manifest from this different place in our being, to really see ourselves, to see our own face, and then be witnessed in that. And it's been incredible. I did 3 rounds of it for the Venus and Gemini cycle, which is all about learning about the sacred feminine. And holy wow, the experiences of this intentional container to not just receive the data about Venus and what that means, but to really deepen into embodying it, to really move from that place and to really tend to sacred purpose diligently with loving accountability with people who are also leading in whatever way we are into this new reality. You know, the Venus and Capricorn cycle that's coming is going to be so much about manifesting, but it's not going to be about the secret. And it's not going to be about, you know, the more new age ways of manifesting. It's just not. So I hate to burst bubbles, you know, it's a whole new emerging discovery that we are more powerful than we ever knew. And when we embody, we don't necessarily need all of, you know, what's been presented, especially in the last, 5-10 years. A lot of the new age culture has become extremely popular, extremely mainstream, extremely hip. And so I actually grew up in that. I grew up in a new age community, a new age spiritual community. So I've been in it for a very long time, from, you know, the Course in Miracles and, you know, all of these attempts to really anchor the light body, to really anchor spirituality and divinity on the planet. And I think it's all learning and it's all important. And it feels like something new is happening. And a big piece of it is to choose to not orient to identity every single month and use our mind to make intentions. And if you want to do that, totally blessings. I have no charge if you are like, no, I'm not letting go of that, I want to do that. But if you're like, you know, I'm feeling something else here, I want to have guidance as I discover this deep, unshakable truth within me that nothing in the external can mess with, no matter what happens, no matter how quickly or dramatically things change in the external. There's this stabilizing within that truth. And that's what I see happening with myself, with the women who are currently working in this container. And it's very intimate for 21 women. So if you're interested in that, I'll drop the link. And you're welcome to get on a call, and I'll send you I'll drop the link where you can read more about it. So first read about it. I'm really, really wanting anyone who's considering this to check in and drop in and inquire, am I feeling the call to this? Do I feel called to this? So not with your head, but with that deeper part of your being where it's like, yes, 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 because those are the ones who may really, really receive life-changing benefit from joining us. And so I put the link in the Facebook, I put the link in the Zoom, and I work with the story of Anana. And yet I am not, because it's just someone, thank you for bringing that up, Shannon. I am not in any way in the belief that we need to emulate Inanna. I mean, or any of the goddesses. We don't need to become goddesses. We need to embody our own essence. And I think there's a lot of distortion in what has been presented as the be this and be that and emulate. And I'm not saying that you were saying that, Shannon, it just kind of reminded me. So when we look at the story of Inanna, part of the slave programming is in there already. We know already 5,000 years ago that whatever, you know, that period of time where we know that there was this pocket in this period of time where there was more equity between men and women, and these matrilineal cultures really flourished that were highly peaceful. That is not happening in the story of Inanna. Like already the patriarchal domination is coming in. You can see it in the story. And then when it gets to the Greeks, and it's like, okay, even more domination and control and violence. When it gets to the Romans, like it's all over as far as the holding of the sacred feminine. So it's like, yes, we can take a sip of the archetypes. We can get inspired by some of the, the myths and the stories. And I do think they're powerful. And yet only if they bring us into our own power as humans. The most empowered thing on the planet right now is the embodied human. And that's why I don't even say divine feminine. I say sacred feminine, because I don't feel that we need to become anything other than what we are. And I said, I did do that for a long time, so I'm coming from a place of having lived that. And through this process of syncing with Venus, I'm like, there's something else. It's not about channeling. It's not about talking to Isis. It's not even about talking to Mary Magdalene. It's not about talking to Yeshe Sogyal. It's not about, trying to merge with these energies across time and space that had some kind of realization. It's about really being radically with who we are right here, right now, turning towards ourselves, that all the power is. And I think a lot of what is happening in that inspiration, and it is inspiring, we are tapping into sometimes energetics and it's like beliefs. When we tap into a belief, when we take it on, it can anchor us someplace. So if we want to anchor with our essence, there's a letting go and a willingness to let go of what we have held as being like our moon, our blanket, like this is what the sacred feminine is. I'm going to hold on to it. It's not going to work for what's coming. It's something new, and it's only going to come from you. And it's only going to come from your direct connection with source inside your body. Sun, Venus connecting with sun inside your body. That's happening. And we get to watch it in this cosmic dance. We get to live through it for the next Venus and Capricorn cycle, which is on February 8th. Please correct your calendars if that wrong date is in there. February, see, I'm even saying it wrong. January 8th. This new Capricorn cycle is starting. And that starts with Venus in this union with the sun. Very, very, very powerful moment to be alive. I feel like we chose this. Venus is going to be falling from the sky around January 3rd of 2022. So it's really interesting. It's happening on the new year. She's going to be conjuncting Pluto in her retrograde as she goes out of the cycle. And that's going to be the big hint that, I've said that this Venus and Gemini cycle is the cycle of all cycles, all Venus cycles. This is it. This is preparing us for what's about to go down on this planet. And when Venus goes into Capricorn, conjuncting Pluto in Capricorn on her way through 3 times, and then meeting with her union with the sun on January 8th, when she's invisible. We only got to see that visibly in 2012 and 2004, not again in this life. And then she'll rise again, in probably, kind of depends on where you are and all of that, but she'll rise again probably as early as January 14th as morning star. And it's going to be manifestation time. So have you held the vision? We're in this Venus and Sagittarius new Venus portal. Have you held the vision and plugged into some kind of deep faith that goes beyond what's happening in the reality? And you're like, I know it's coming and I'm ready. And I'm ready to manifest my sacred purpose. And as far as Capricorn, there's going to be resources that need to be invested and involved. And the money system is highly likely changing quite dramatically in some ways. And this abundance is going to be needed to create the new reality. And so it's like, are you feeling that manifestation in your body? Like, that you have latent abilities to manifest resources that could actually create the new structure for the new world. That's Venus in Capricorn. It's time. It's time to, the more embodied we are, the more we'll be able to create. So it's not going to be about ideas. It's not going to be about energy. It's not going to be about being in a trance energy, which a lot of the new age stuff is pretty trancy. Like I can hear some people talk and I go into trance. It's like very beautiful. And yet it feels disembodied. So the more embodied we are, the more we're going to be powerful players in leading Capricorn, leading with the sacred feminine, choosing essence, being like, I don't know, I'm going to show up and trust my inner guidance to show me what to say, what to do. That is the invitation. So, woo, feeling the fire. Feeling the Venus and Sagittarius fire. Yes, embodied human is the way, and it is a protection. So I found that a lot of people that have been in the spiritual realms, oh, whoops, I sent the, I sent the link to Angelica. I didn't mean to do that. So the link is in the Zoom if you want to get on there. It's venuswisdom.com/heroine. I think you have to make it a capital H to just get a vibe of what the offering is and what's coming. And I guess I should say a little bit more about its intimate astrological guidance with me that happens on a monthly basis, that's really being held through all of your personal astrology, as well as the transits happening, to really anchor and nurture that coming from essence and practicing in a group of love and support, and then working with these big transits that are coming. United States, Pluto return, there's going to be a lot that is changing, and how to meet that with an open heart, how to meet that from a place of courage. And yeah, if there's fear, feel it. Don't, have intimacy with it, but don't get caught in it. Don't get pulled back into a place of fear and constriction. It's really a time to be courageous. It's really a time to show up differently and more as we are than we've ever been willing to do. And so this is for women that are wanting to be more honest than they've ever been. More honest about who you are, about what your patterns are, about how you go to those ingrained patterns in order to get held back, and how much you want to be liberated. It's going to be happening anyway. We're all in this process, but this is a concentrated container of 21 amazing, powerful, embodied women who are feeling this call to be leaders. And so it will be group work. It will be really working with the ceremonies of the new Venus portal and the peak Venus portal, along with different activities and invitations. And you can go to the website and read more. It's a lot. It's a lot. And it's just as much as people are needing. As far as it's not a lot more data information overload. It's really teaching how to work with the cosmic energies so that you can begin to take on your own interpretation of what's happening. And that's another way that I'm a bit of a different astrologer, is oftentimes my transmissions come not from me sitting and looking at a chart and thinking about, oh, that's squaring that. It's like I'm watching life and I'm like, oh, there it is. Oh yeah, Chiron's activated today. Thanks. It's like arising in my reality. And then I was like, oh, I want to write about this. And so if you resonate with my astrological writing and it feels embodied, or it feels different than, something else you might read that's basically, a very beautiful, heady walk through how to, this is doing this with this at 2 degrees. And I love that. I mean, I love them. Don't get me wrong. I love astrology, but I'm doing something a little bit different than that. And I want to teach others how to work with the energies and not need so much data, to just trust yourself. The deeper in you come, the less external information you need. And some of my most amazing astrological transmissions comes from people that don't even follow astrology. They're just bringing it. They're just in the moment. They're in their essence. They're meeting the moment from their essence and they speak. And I'm like, wow, oh yeah, Venus in Sagittarius, that's fire. And they don't even know it's Venus in Sagittarius. Yeah, okay, great. So Jim took a training with True Shaman. I don't know who that is. Wonderful. Great. All right. Louisa, great. Well, I'm glad that you found someone who really, speaks to you and nourishes you. And that's what we need to do right now. We're really meant to find our like-minded kindred spirit. And we're not, for everyone. We're each for who we're meant to be with. And so we are finding each other through our frequency. Venus and Gemini, frequency, vibration, voice. Oftentimes it's someone's voice. You're like, oh, I either really love it or no thanks, right? So this is what we're doing right now, is finding each other. Are we being pushed to the next level? Well, pushed. Pushed feels like the choice is outside of ourselves. I would say there's a high motivation for us to access who we truly are right now in order to get through what's going to come. Absolutely. And in a way that could feel like a push, for sure. For sure. That's real. That's honest. But we don't have to, It's kind of like it's taking on a life of its own. It's happening no matter what. And, for those of us that are drawn to this work with Venus, it can be a tremendous support in ease in coming in more. I do too, Shannon, these sacred teachings for all of our sons and daughters. And if we continue, whether you come into the Heroines program or not, we're all in this discovery process together. And we're going to be enriching those teachings as we come in. So that's why I invite you to share your experiences in the Venus Wisdom Collective Facebook group, if you're in there, or when you get the newsletter, hit reply and share your experience, because your experiences are the authority on your Venus avatar. I can't speak from an evening star, Venus in Pisces, Aquarius star point. I have no idea what that Venus avatar is in my body. I speak to you as a Venus in Scorpio star point, morning star, the day that she went from retrograde to direct. So I've got that energetic design in my feminine, that pioneering, but the depths of the Scorpio, both, right? So that's where I'm coming from. But your perspective and your wisdom is equally important. And so I feel like these sacred teachings are going to become enriched. The more of us that sync with Venus. And if you choose to do this, I really encourage you to choose to do it for 19 months. Do it for this whole next Capricorn cycle. If you've been into the moon and you feel ready to try something different, because, the Venus points, they include the moon. The moon's right there. The moon's just not primary. The moon's included. The moon's necessary. We can't just drop our identity altogether and not have any reference points to safety. I mean, we would truly go mad and get stressed, right? We need that. We need that historic, feminine, lunar energy as we step off the edge, because Venus goes all the way around the sun. The moon goes around us. The moon is the satellite tucking us in, reminding us who we are. But Venus, she's flying with the sun to places we can't even see. And so when we sync with her, we really get to be on this evolutionary edge in any way. So if you want to share, on the new Venus portal that's coming up here. So again, that is exactly on October 24th. So October 23rd in the evening will be very active, and October 24th in the evening will be very active. If you want to go out and see Venus, and if you can also catch the moon at the same time as Venus sets and the moon rises, drop into your heart, relax, receive, and then share. I feel like the sharing is a big part of the process, not just having the experience ourselves, but that's when we come into community as we share. this is what happened for me. This is what arose for me. This is what, this is what I experienced in that energy of that peak of Venus in Sagittarius. She's going to be at her highest point on October 30th. So this is the last peak Venus portal that she's going to really be, at this, she's at a fruition. She's at a climax of her 19-month cycle. This is a really, really beautiful time to connect with the Venus mysteries. I am working on the next Venus calendar, and it is amazing. It is amazing. And I'm putting a lot more detail in it. I'm hiring someone to check all the dates because I did the other one and had to go back and notice things that weren't exactly. So we're doing the checking just because everyone can, it's like, I want everyone to have everything that they need to find those moments and leverage those moments. And I'm going to have all of the auspicious Venus dates in there, a lot more detail about Venus's journey. I'm going to have the paintings of the heroines from this last year. One of our heroines, Selena Wilson, incredible visionary artist, she did paintings of every one of the Venus avatars for the women who came through this journey, awakening our heroine's heart. And so those are going to be featured in the calendar. So I'll get to drink in that beauty. And yeah, the new map is I've already done it, of the Venus and Capricorn 19-month cycle. So it is going to be really amazing. And I'm not going to say it's easy. Capricorn is the goat, climbing the mountain, who is determined to get to the top. Capricorn polarity is Cancer. So that's the moon, right? Interesting. The moon is connected to Cancer. The deep waters of our lineage, and the deep waters of our emotionality, and the deep waters of, our pain body. And Capricorn is climbing the mountain, wanting to do something productive, wanting to bring that water to the top of the mountain, to really say, let's evolve. Let's be leaders through the transformation of what happened in our families, that somehow in our culture and our schools that told us that we weren't magnificent. Let's do something that completely shakes that off and stand at the top of that mountain as leaders, shining in who we are, without the pressure to perform, without the pressure to achieve something that somebody else says that we should achieve, without the judgment that we're not good enough, without the shutdown and the contraction that we're never going to get it right. It's really, really this invitation to come into a natural confidence and to allow that sacred feminine that's in all of us to be a leader in a new way. And it's going to be a relational way. And you're going to know who the leaders are by how they relate. None of the power games, none of the female manipulation, none of that is going to register as leadership. It's just not. It's going to be those that have high integrity, Capricorn, that are in action to actually create something, not just talk about it, Capricorn. The Venus and Gemini cycle, this is the time to think about it, talk about it, understand it, get the transmission, learn it, choose not to know 100 times a day if we need to be like, okay, that's the old story. What's the new story? What is it now? What is it? Oh, beginner's mind, beginner's heart. Let someone drop that in there. It's exciting. It's exciting. And Capricorn works with the obstacles in order to find discipline. And that's something, that I think is an integration of our feminine with our masculine. Devotion, feminine, discipline, masculine. We need both for what's coming. And so I think we're going to get a big chance to create more discipline around our devotional discipline. Like, how many hours a day are you disciplined to take time for your devotion, for what lights you up, for your joy, right? You're hustling, but are you hustling for your devotion every day? For how long? Right? So it's going to be a very interesting 19 months. I'm super excited. I'm already on conversations with some women that are hearing the call. So really it's a body thing. If you're hearing the call, you read through the website, you're feeling a yes, book a call with me. We'll get on the phone and we'll explore it. It's really an inside job. So if your inner wisdom is excited and wants to know more and wants to explore it, this is the opportunity for you. I'm super honored and blown away to have guided all of these incredible women deeper into the Venus mysteries. Now, some of them are really taking it to the next level. They're teaching it. They're, bringing insight that is unique to their own wisdom. It's just incredible. So thanks for popping on. Thanks all for your comments. I really, really appreciated being with you. This was fun. Let me see if there's any other comments here. You're so welcome, Shannon. I love being connected to you. I love all the ways that with this technology, we get to connect across the globe. I'm a Sagittarius, just like this wild joy that we get to connect across the globe this way. Julie's here. Oh, good. Okay, morning star just before going into the depths with Venus in Cancer and Aquarius star point. Still warrior, about to shed all the pain, changes, and deep conditioning. Oh, this journey with Sasha has been amazing and the group has been so supportive. Thank you, Julie. It's been incredible. She has been one of the heroines. You will see her painting. Well, actually, the heroines may choose to be anonymous if I'm not sure you'll know it's hers, but you'll get to see this manifestation of her avatar. It's just incredible. Each one incredible. Thank you for sharing that. It's been really, really life-changing for me. And I think that there's more of us who are ready to discover this together. That's my sense again and again, is that the more of us that are syncing with Venus and sharing our experience, the more supportive that particular path comes into being and into our knowing. It is always 19 months long, the Venus cycle. So 2 9.5 month cycles, 2.5 morning stars, 9.5 months, evening stars, 9.5 months. The program that I'm doing, Heroine, is 17 months. So we're going to be writing for most of that. And the last time I did a morning star, and then I did an underworld group, and then I did an evening star group. And I really feel for this next time, keeping the container and really having this opportunity to create this culture within the time period, and to have the same women and to go deep. It feels like it's a power move to do it that way. And I'm really excited about it. You're totally welcome. Yeah, but the Venus cycle is 19 months. This is 17. So we'll start in the end of January of 2022 and we'll all the way to June of 2023. Woo! It's going to be amazing. So thank you for engaging in the chat and in the Facebook group. We'll keep the conversation going for sure. And yeah, with this new invitation around syncing with Venus, just see how you want to, what you want to choose for October 24th in that peak Venus portal, and see if it connects back to October 9th, in any way. If you can really connect the two, I found it quite profound that what gets seated at the peak Venus, at the new Venus portal, oftentimes does get opened up at the peak Venus portal, similar to how I've worked with the moons, but also very different. So very, very grounding. I do not feel overwhelmed anymore at the full moons. It's really a blessing. It's a huge blessing. Super grateful. All right. Thanks for being here, everyone. Lots of love, and keep listening to your inner wisdom. Your medicine's needed. You are absolutely the ones for these times to bring forth your heart's longings and your vision and whatever is your sacred purpose. So I'm here for that. I'm totally holding space for each of us to connect with that and to boldly and courageously deepen into who we are and bring forth our medicine. Good night.